Hi, my name is Usha, and I am new to Anchor, but I'm so glad that I joined the Anchor podcast family because it is so user-friendly. I encourage you to use your voice and broadcast it to the podcasting world by using Anchor. No fancy equipment is needed, just you, your voice, and your mobile phone. That's what I do. I love Anchor because they distribute my podcast to the world, and if I want, I can select sponsorships, and that sponsorship money will be used to benefit a charity that is near and dear to my heart. It also enables me to share my passion for advocating for caregivers to the rest of the world. So what are you waiting for now? Just download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hi, my name is Usha, and I am the Indian caregiver. As many of you may not be aware, November is National Caregiver Month. The National Caregiver Month is celebrated every November. It is a time to recognize and honor family caregivers across the country. It also offers an opportunity to raise awareness of caregiving issues, educate communities, and increase support for caregivers. Since I am a caregiver, I hope to share my personal stories so I can make a difference in the caregiving world. I realize it is important to advocate not only for myself, but other caregivers as well, because they are the unsung heroes, working day and night to take care of our loved ones in challenging circumstances. There is a quote that I came across when I first started this journey, and this quote has remained with me ever since. It's a quote by Bob DeMarco, and it is, "Alzheimer's caregivers ride the biggest, fastest, scariest, emotional roller coaster every day." And that is very true. As I reflect on my caregiving journey these last few years, and more so recently, 2020, I realize, has been super challenging. I did not realize that things could become this challenging for me. My mom has been in the hospital several times during COVID, and I did not realize that her cognitive abilities would decline off and on like a roller coaster. Unfortunately, I do not have any family who can assist me. I am alone. I work full-time. I manage 13 individuals in my department from 8 to 5. When I'm not working full-time, I'm cooking, cleaning, and getting my mom in and out of bed. I have learned to transfer her from the bed to this walker on my own. On days that assistance is not here to help, I bathe her myself, particularly on the weekends. I also try to come up with activities to keep her busy, to constantly engage her brain. Those activities could be simple, such as walking, playing with Play-Doh, coloring, putting the massage unit on the body to stimulate the muscles. So there are a lot of little things that I plan every day to ensure her well-being. I also realize that self-care has been very challenging. Unfortunately, these last few years, I have gradually put on 30 pounds, and it is very frightening for me. I'm one of those individuals who would get up super early in the morning, work out, and literally work out every opportunity I got, because that was a way for me to release my stress. It is very difficult for me to plan if I'm able to get up at 5:45, depending if my mom was up throughout the night, because I know at the same time sleep is important. These 30 pounds that I have put on have become very frustrating for me because I simply do not feel good about myself. I lose confidence. In a way, I'm kind of glad with COVID. I'm home and I don't have to face the reality of going to after work networking events or dinners because I don't feel confident and I don't like who I have become physically. I'm also scared to have pictures or to go on camera, because when I see myself, it evokes a lot of frustration because I cannot keep up with the schedule. But at the same time, I realize that caregivers do ride a roller coaster every day. Spinning was my outlet, because when I would go to class for 30 or 45 minutes, that music would transport me into another world. There were certain instructors at my cycling studio who would give a lot of inspiration during class not to give up. And it was that inspiration when I would come home after class that would keep me going. There were days when I was an Energizer bunny, just kept going after coming home, because their motivating words really made a difference to me. Unfortunately, now with COVID, I have to think, is it worth it for me to go to spin class? Is it worth it for me to be locked up in a room with individuals for 30 to 45 minutes? Yes, exercise is important, but the potential there remains to expose myself to a virus and bring it home to my mom. These are difficult decisions lately that I've had to make as a caregiver. I've even had to examine how many people are in a class. If the class is beyond 40 to 50%, then I won't go to cycling class. It is frustrating for me because I had hit a peak where I was doing really well and proud of myself on several challenges, including adding additional resistance. But I realize that this is only a temporary setback, and when time is right, I'll be able to enjoy my cycling classes again. I realize also that it's really easy for people to say to get on a routine, but in reality, it's very difficult. You really have to be prepared for the unknown as a caregiver. Just this past Monday, my mom was a bit off. I wasn't sure what to do. I didn't want to give her medicine to make her sleep all the time, which I rarely do. But I was thinking maybe I'll give her half a tablet to calm her down. Unfortunately, into the early evening hours, she was hyper. I was unable to get her to bed to secure herself so I could go to cycling class, and I was a bit frustrated. So what I did was I took a hot shower. Usually showers are an outlet for me if I cannot leave. It's my way to be by myself and to think through things while in the shower. Unfortunately, while in the shower, I heard a big noise. My mom had fallen. She was trying to get up and lost her balance and not thinking cognitively. Unfortunately, she hit her head against the railing and was bleeding. I did not want to take any chances and called 911 and had her transported to the emergency room for an evaluation since there was a head injury. Fortunately, everything turned out normal, and my mom, unfortunately, has 2 staples. Because I'm unable to maneuver her on my own because of the cognitive challenges, the ambulance brought her home 4:30 in the morning. I pulled an all-nighter that day and logged onto my work computer to resume work hours later. I basically had a double espresso, didn't have time to eat. I was going non-stop at 110 miles an hour, it felt like, that day. At the end of the day, close to 7 p.m., I was trying to eat finally, and I did, and I crashed. I realized it came to the point that I just can't do it anymore. Fortunately, I slept really well, and I was refreshed, and my batteries were charged the next day. It's also, as a caregiver, I realized that you don't realize that time passes so quickly, that you're going to do this, you're going to do that. There are several times where I don't eat a lunch or dinner. I may just have 1 meal a day because my mind is constantly focused on my mom. Especially when I'm not working, because I have someone there with her while I'm sitting in my room and working from my work laptop. But once she leaves, I'm constantly all eyes and ears on her, making sure that she's okay. It has also taken a toll a bit on my health. I do have a family history of blood pressure and cardiac issues. So I originally was on one blood pressure medicine, and when I get very stressed feel like I'm on the verge of a meltdown, I do take 2 blood pressure medicines to get everything under control. I also get an elevated heart rate, and I'm just so exhausted that it reflects on my face. And again, I get insecure taking photos because I know I look like crap, and it's difficult to hide. I wanted to share some tips that I have done that may help you if you're a caregiver. The list is ongoing, but here I've kind of narrowed it down to about 6 to 8 tips, and hopefully you'll find this information valuable, whether you're a caregiver now or in the future. I think one thing that is super important is you need to learn to be flexible and be prepared for the unexpected. Anything can happen in a 24-hour days. I'm lucky if their days are fluid, especially the evenings, where my mom falls asleep and does not wake up in the middle of the night. I go through it once or twice a month where she wakes up every 2 hours thinking she's on the fire or having to go to the bathroom. And it's those days that I really struggle the next day and have to go get a Red Bull to stay awake. Despite that, I know that I've got responsibilities throughout the day that I respect and honor. So my advice is be flexible and be prepared for the unexpected. Don't get frustrated, because if you do continue to get frustrated, it'll pile on and it's not going to help you or the person that you're caring for. I also suggest to keep a log of your loved one when caring for them. It makes it very easy when you have to speak to medical professionals, because individuals with cognitive changes, you can see if there's a pattern. For example, with my mom, her blood pressure may be normal and then suddenly it could be high, whether it's in the evenings, or there could be days where she's walking for 2 weeks nonstop perfectly with her walker, and there are days where she just doesn't understand that she has to move and her brain does not connect with her lower body. So during times like that, it's really important to keep a log of what works, what doesn't work, if any of the medications interact, or if you're dealing with home health or with physicians, who you spoke to at what time, so that way you've got everything recorded. And also, medical professionals take you more seriously when they see that you take detailed notes. One thing that I've been working on, especially this past week, is I realize that my evening hours are at the hands of my mother. So it's very difficult for me to plan working out consistently every day. So I have been getting up around 5:30, 5:45 so I can sneak a workout in while she is sleeping. If I'm lucky and if I have enough energy, I'll try to work out during lunch. But I'm finding the morning workouts are benefiting me a lot when I can do them, because it's out of the way and it's taking time for me to do something for myself, and that is very important. Another thing that I did was, during the month of October, I've got a Samsung's phone, so I'm sure there are a lot of virtual challenges out there. So it was a virtual challenge as to how many steps one will take during the month, and I joined. So during the month of October, I did 240,000 steps, which was quite an accomplishment. I was motivated, whatever opportunity I got, to keep walking, to keep going, because I knew it was just going to benefit myself, and if I'm happy and healthy, that's a reflection upon my mom. Unfortunately, November has been a different story. I've not been able to keep up. My stats are very poor, and I get frustrated, but I think it's a way for me to recharge and to sign up for another walking challenge during the month of December to keep myself healthy, and that's one of my goals for next year, is to continue to join these challenges just to keep moving. I'm sure you've heard this a lot, is meal prep. It helps. It does help because my mom sometimes is hungry all the time, and I do have a tendency to cook a lot of things from scratch. So I do cook for her so that way she's on a schedule for eating. And I also keep snacks on hand because I know when she has to do exercises or certain things, she just does not want to do it. So I kind of bribe her with snacks and say, well, if you do this, I'll give you a bag of chips or something. And food makes her very happy. So I know that's a way that I can get her to do exercises. Or when physical therapy comes, she knows she has to complete it in order to get a snack at the end to be rewarded. One thing I'm trying very hard not to do is to bottle up. I do have great friends, and they're constantly messaging me, asking how I'm doing and if they can do anything. I don't go into a lot of detail when I talk to them. I just say, yeah, everything is fine. But I do realize that I do need to be a bit more open, because I know I can count my friends on one hand, and they're there for me. And I need to reach out to them more and use them as a sounding board rather than bottling up my frustrations, especially with this disease. One thing too that I've done from the beginning is to remove any negativity in my life. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to deal with negative people who are constantly going to bring you down, or negative situations. As it is, this disease is not positive, because for Alzheimer's, dementia patients, there's not a cure. So why bring external factors into your life? I try to keep it as positive as I can and weed out those who are negative because it's just not worth it. Another thing is I try to make it a point to drink at least 60 to 90 ounces of water a day to keep me hydrated, as well as to take vitamins, especially vitamins D3 and B12, to keep me going and to stay healthy. Just a few more tips. One tip that I find very valuable that I came up with is to get my mom to bed early, about 90 minutes before I go to bed. And the reason I do this is sometimes it takes time for my mom to settle. She does not sleep right away. I do have a hospital bed for her, so she has railings, and I try to make it as comfortable as I can. However, because of her neurological state of mind, she moves her legs a lot involuntarily. And there are times when she'll kick the wall and end up in a pretzel twisted, situation. So by me having her go to bed early, I see how quickly she sleeps. And if I see there's a lot of movement and stuff, it kind of gives me a buffer before I sleep. And I try my best to make her as comfortable as possible and make sure that she's breathing okay and not having any challenges that she can't express. This is a valuable tip, I believe, because once she's in bed, it allows me to sleep, and for the most part, we have a good, 6 to 7.5 hours of sleep, which is important. And another thing I do is, all my life, I've had a tendency to go to bed early. And being a caregiver, I think it's important to do that, so that way you can get up early in the morning, and whether it's exercise, read, meal prep, or just me time, that's really important as well. Lastly, I feel like it's important that you reach out and get the help and resources that you need. I know I have reached out to the Alzheimer's Association, their 24-hour 800 number, and they've been of immense help to me to guide me through the challenging cognitive situations. Another resource that I recently found is the Rosalind Carter Caregiving Institute for Caregiving. And I came across their site accidentally, And I signed up for their free program. There were a few questions that I answered, and within a few weeks I received a call from what I call a counselor, and it's, I believe, a 10-week program where they mail you a book that is just over 300 pages, and they go through it during the 10-week program. It's a syllabus, and they basically empower the caregiver with resources to make you strong and to focus on yourself, because if you know what resources are at hand or learn little things how to handle situations, that's going to help you in the long run, since the caregiving journey is very long and mentally and physically exhausting. On another note, I wanted to say that if you ever need anyone to talk to, please know that I'm here for you as well. I may not respond right away, but know that you can talk to me. I do have a Facebook page, Alzheimer's Advocacy by Usha, and surprisingly, I've had a few individuals send me messages appreciating the articles that I post and being honest and upfront about this disease. And they've been appreciative, and I have reached out to them, and vice versa, stay in touch with them, and we share our challenges, any tips, any success points. So that's another thing that I highly encourage you to do. I'm going to end with a quote by the former First Lady Rosalind Carter as it pertains to caregiving. There are only 4 kinds of people in this world: those who have been caregivers, those who are currently are caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need caregivers. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.